it's locked in right away. The answer to Corki that you'd always love to see when it's open is the JinJiao and the Jinx coming out, but we will see what OMG opt into. For Aki, JinJiao has been his most played champion so far this split, and for Abel, he has 7 games on the Jinx as compared to 3 on the Ezreal, which is his second most played champion.
Okay, well, Aphelios getting looked at for the time being, so get the Jinx for now. Bottom lane could just be set up here, and guys, you know PicFan, you've been watching it for the past 2 weeks. In different regions here in the LPL. There's been discussions about who prioritizes what, but at the end of the day, we go the same direction. There's bottom lane secure, Lyric jungle, and now what? An AD themselves. That's what's going to happen.
I'm just going to keep saying it. If it's open, you just go JinJiao Jinx.
Okay.
I think I can't really understand not going for these picks. We saw what happened when, I believe it was TT got them in their last series when we casted them on Friday. Some team got the Exodia comp, remember? They got all the most played champs in every single role. And guess what happened? They won. Yeah, TT got their first win thanks to it.
Yeah. I mean, thanks to our Weibo Candy giving them, that's right, 3 big picks. And look, here we go once again. Corki, Jinx, Xin still available. Lee Sin as well, I think would fill that void. But man, there ain't nothing like Xin Zhao, and Shadow has been spamming this. So, Lyric, the start of Exodia again.
Yeah, what a surprise. You go for all the champions that have shown to be the most impactful in their role. Now for the side of OMG, though, gonna see what they do around out here. They can just go for a nice answer into the mid lane if they do so choose. But so far, no. Wanting to go with that blind pick top probably, and gonna end up with the Gragas. Has been Shanji's most played so far. We have seen that Gragas can pretty much at least go even in any lane. It's always been his strength when he is put in that top lane role. Fearness would have to be willing to pull out something, a bit more off the cusp, whether it is like a Vayne top or a Quinn or something ridiculous that I'm sure we're not going to see if he really wants to just pound this Gragas into the ground.
I'd love to see something, outside the realms of what this 12.1 has been delivering for the past 2 weeks. We've had some really fun comps here in the LPL, but again, things are rounding out pretty stable for this game number 1. I will say, Lyric, things like the Gwen's are available for Fearness. His Akali's been banned away by LGD. And for now, as we get into the rest of the band, it's just support. There goes the Gwen from OMG, not going to give it over to Fearness. And it looks like they're targeting some of Creme's champion pool to finish off.
Yeah, and if we're looking at OMG's pick on 4 coming in right, still need jungle, still need mid lane. 2 picks LGD have already shown. In general, just thematically, I'd like to see OMG just round out with more engage potentially coming in, or even some side lane potential. I don't think you should just go into a battle of poke with the Corki Jinx. We've seen teams opt into that so many times, and it seems like you're just always going to lose out because there really aren't too many champions that outrange the 2 artillery pieces on the opposing side. Right now, hovering the Syndra, you would have a ton of pressure in lane. You still have a lot of range to play with, but you also have CC to follow up on engages, enable picks, and do so much.
Oh no, but instead you could just play the Viktor, who, to be fair, Rookie played it yesterday and was dominating the laning phase, but Corki versus Viktor, we're keeping it traditional.
And it just goes back to what we said, right? Jinx is going to outrange Aphelios, Corki's going to outrange Viktor with the Rockets later on, then you're going to have this stare down, and unless OMG are either able to find flanks with the Gragas, pick people off in transition with a Thresh, I feel like LGD will just be favored a solid majority of the time. And by majority, I mean literally every time.
Okay. And with the Ornn too. Hey, if that doesn't cement your point, I don't know what will. Look at the engage. You've got like a perfect team fighting. You got a perfect composition for LGD.
LGD have, I think their composition is decently well-rounded, right? Okay.
Zed jungle here for Arky because we've already got our solo laters. We're going to wait till it gets locked in, but dude, we were literally about to comment the same thing we do every time we see these comps. And then we get a Zed jungle. So start there for OMG, please.
Honestly, not a massive fan coming in. I mean, you have 3 very durable champions on the opposite side that, Zed's not going to have too much threat on, right? Obviously, you pick Zed to target the Corki and the Jinx, but a decent amount of appeal on the side of LGD. You have these very slow scaling laners in your Aphelios and your...
Or regaining that momentum, I should say. Actually, for Lyric, regaining momentum. English is a bit hard sometimes. That's pretty important here for both these teams, so... You know, I'm looking forward to running into the series.
OMG needs to regain momentum, and LGD just need to find anything, right?
Creative.
Any kind of a foothold in the LPL that they can get a win on the board, especially up against a team like OMG who are projecting are still a top contender, despite their losses that they did have in the past week. I think would be very solid. We look across the board at runes. Nothing too surprising, right? We've seen with Assassins coming in the first strike in the jungle. Shanji is going for the tank Gragas with the grasp. And everything is what you'd expect to see every game. JinJiao, though, is going to be going with the Aftershock rather than the Glacial Augment. So more of that tankiness and durability coming in. Definitely does a lot more in terms of the team fights that we're going to see later on as compared to kind of the buff to the laning phase that Glacial Augment is able to give you, and the gank setup, the reduced damage coming on your side as well. So, yeah, overall, pretty cool runes there, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, you do it. You did indeed say. Thanks for that, Lyric. Always love your information gained here on the broadcast, but I also want to bring out a little bit more from you. Aki on this Z jungle, that's where all our eyes are. That's where our questions are. Run me through here, because you raised your concerns in draft, where it's like, the Viktor lane, how do you get the setup here with Gravity Field against a Corki? How do you find something with, you know, the Aphelios that also needs time to scale? What do you do if you're Aki in this early game where you obviously need to get things rolling a bit quicker?
For Aki, you will have push in mid, so that's kind of where I'm looking for the side of OMG. We're just going to try and use that pressure to have Aki force aggressively onto Shadow early. The problem is, like, okay, even though you have push in mid as a Viktor, you're still a Viktor, right? You push, you move, you don't really contribute all too much early, you don't have a ton of mobility, so you're not going to be able to get there quickly either. And that's why for Aki, honestly, I don't see too many options for him. Like, you have set up top lane, but it's an Ornn. Sure, maybe you find some kills early, but I don't see what tangible impact that it's going to have on the game.
So there's a lot of questions about it, and that's why Aki we're going to be watching a little bit closer, because this pick for OMG was out of the woodwind, but you know, those question marks still linger. And for Aki, you want to see him use the first strike, want to see what happens when he gets 6. So for me, Lyric, especially OMG being the better team this split, kind of putting a little bit of faith in them in this first game of the series. That's a quick roam from JinJiao. LGD actually moving towards the bottom side of the river, but there's no camps available. No ward placed actually by JinJiao at this point. He's got the lens and a bit of a scrying bloom on the ground that Shadow finds to spot out that there's no jungle camps up there, so it is a standard pathing here with Aki going scuttle for scuttle.
Yeah, both junglers doing typical paths. Aki can clear a bit faster than Shadow on the opposite side, so is one camp up. Will come back onto the map with some tempo and make his way down towards that bottom side. Problem is, like you just said, LGD did just get a bunch of wards down in the bot side jungle and river, so no plays to Aki really should be available. Potential, you know, lantern, flash, flay plays can come out from cold, and you can try and burn some flashes in the bottom side, but I think actually finding the kills would be quite hard. And speaking of that bot lane is, ooh, Yeji getting chunked quite low. Yep. This also isn't surprising at this point. I remember we came in week 1 and we're like, Viktor versus Corki, we're not going to see anything happen. And we saw like 3 times of Viktor solo killing Corki and consistently being able to push him out of lane like this.
I can't remember who walked at a Corki and pretty much solo killed. Either Angel or someone very notable in the mid lane. We've seen a lot of Viktors do well, and you know, Yeji, as he teleports back to lane, Creme will do the same, but Creme in a great position, as you were just stating. And for OMG, actually in a bit of a gold lead here in this early game. If you look across the CS board, you see about 6 in the top lane. The jungler, as you mentioned, Aki actually clearing a bit faster. Creme's going to be up about 5 here. Bottom lane up about 7 for the time being. So naturally, we're just seeing good lanes from OMG and a bit of control gained in the first 5 minutes.
And it looks like potentially Aki is wanting to utilize his Zed for what we were guessing for, right? You have consistent pressure in mid, roaming cold out of lane as well to follow through, potentially looking for the Zinzao and trying to find kills that way, because it seems like that is your only real target to be able to find these picks. But nice to see OMG playing to their win conditions accordingly. Let's see Shadow gets caught.
It's going to drop a ward. Shadow's waiting. He's so patient. He's so sus on this one.
His flash is gone.
He's so sus on this one, Lyric. He W's. The Raptors, they're hitting between, but Shadow goes through the audacity, realizes, flashes away with Ignite, the Flay as well. The commitment, and Aki gets first blood. OMG were patient, and Shadow in the mess.
Yeah, I mean, we see Shadow go in. Cold missing the hook doesn't really matter because with the fact that Shadow did just charge it, he does instantly have to flash out. Aki committing in, though, to make sure they're able to find that kill. And OMG answering the questions that we had about how they're going to utilize these picks. And they're really committing to that, right? They're actually committing to this pick style composition coming through with the Thresh and the Zed. And you've already highlighted some of the lane discrepancies coming in. We pan back to top side now. Shanji going to equalize that even more. Or go straight into the replay. You hit on the patience, Hysterics. They were waiting for it. Shadow just sitting over, going to use the W to go in. Sadly, Cold, a little bit too fast on the trigger coming in. Maybe not expecting Shadow to actually go for it. Instantly flash away. Ignite does come out. Cold now, since he doesn't have the death sentence, does need to commit the flash for them to be able to find the kill, though.
Speaking of which, doesn't have it available, but neither does Shadow as he commits. JinJiao's walking down, and it's not mobility boost, it's just a very fast Leona in the river as the Cowl Storm goes down onto Yeji. That'll help clear the way for Creme to, again, regain more control. So Lyric, first kill goes onto the Zed jungle, and even though OMG, there were a lot of questions before, how does it change now with a 1k gold lead and a Zed with 2 longswords?
I don't think anything changes. I think it just enables you to look for those types of plays even more, right? We've seen Creme continuously holding up that pressure in the mid lane. Now your jungle's starting to find a bit of an advantage for himself. He was already a bit up in terms of clear speed and camps before. Now having that kill gold, it's like, hey, just look for more potential opportunities to get in the enemy jungle, to find those picks on the Shadow, or even just using the tempo that you have from these lanes to be able to get on objectives first, right? We're 40 seconds away from Rift Herald, so I would expect that we will be seeing some action soon, especially from the OMG side. They're already channeling those recalls from their bot lane now, probably to start making their way up there.
I wonder if LGD are going to trade it off if they know that, okay, well, we're not touching the Zed, who's just hit level 6. There's a couple of camps ahead as well, that they go for that Hextech Dragon down on the bottom side. Shadow hit 6 as well, quite notably, as 15 seconds until what Lyric was talking about, which is this Herald spawning in the top side. Bots moving, Cold is quickly behind Abel. You can see 4 people up there. Shanji making a quick recall too. Even towards Eric, it looks like he's going back towards bottom lane for now. Lyric, just quickly before this Herald comes through, before whatever we see, Abel and Cold, Eric and JinJiao have not died in the 2v2, and I could not be more proud for this game one.
Yeah, I mean, they're coming in, they've done solidly so far. I do think their landing phase has been decent overall since they've been in the LPL. The problem for them has been once we get to mid-game. We see Eric and JinJiao just getting picked off left and right. Eric's positioning in team fights especially is quite suspect. But we're getting to a stare-off, Hysterics. Posturing coming in for the fight. Yeji is package, and you highlighted this man before the match.
Yeah, and I want to see Yeji layer it down because it's a good package here for LGD. That early kill might not mean a thing. Herald's going to start here, but it's only OMG waiting. The death sentence onto the AD carry. They're in. Onto Eric. He's hit hard, but Shanji the target. Aki over the wall. But the Zed doesn't get through with the ulti. He just decided to shadow over. And Aki absolutely ran into danger.
I'm just really surprised that OMG didn't commit harder, right? Shanji going in with an E flash, maybe Aki going over the wall, using that ultimate, just bursting out Eric, taking him out of the fight. Your AD carries top, but it would instantly be a 4v5. You're decently close to your mid lane turret as well, so you would assume they would be able to disengage and give time for repositioning to come in from Abel and kind of link up the rest of your squad, but it was a little bit of a half-hearted attempt coming out. Unless they did just want to blow summoners, but like you said, then Aki just kind of running in and helping out the enemy team.
Yeah, that was not what we wanted to see. And, you know, with an evening up kill, it might go to the support, but for LGD, they get the first Herald, the chance to really get this game into their favor. And for OMG, as they reset, it's going to be the Dragon as a small, but I guess valuable trade-off here, Lyric. And so, gold remains even at the 10-minute mark. And I don't know, man. Again, we're just kind of back to square one with where we started, which is like, okay, Aki, what can you do next?
You know, I do feel like with Aki, good time to bring up this replay. Hook hits. Like I said, I'm a bit surprised we don't see Shanji maybe trying to commit the flash. The body to connect. Yeah, oh. Aki going in. But, I mean, you W on traps. I don't even feel like that's really the problem, right? I feel like the trigger pool could have come instantly from Aki as well. The second the death sentence lands, get in there, use that death mark, just try and find the burst immediately. It looked like a very half-hearted attempt coming out from the side of OMG. And I gotta say, I feel like we're a little bit fake news. We came in and we said, hey, look at OMG. They have about 1 champion kill per minute. It has not been that.
No, it's not. It hasn't even been close. Fearness getting explosive cast, and you know those are two big dudes who are just
spanking him.
Well, the problem is, Lyric, it's Ornn versus Gragas, and it's going to stop there unless Aki gets involved.
Oh, I love tank versus tank matchups. Aki is getting involved. Shanji stopping the recall. Aki has his ultimate available. We're going to see if Cold Forge Guard can stop anything, but no, it cannot.
He just got hit, and here comes the death mark. The shadow's in. Aki gets knocked up once again. Shanji getting hit, and Fearness does a good job of surviving, but Shanji's still tanky enough to do it. So for OMG, another kill on the top side, but LGD with the Herald Lyric. I mean, this could be a good trade-off if they find Creme.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to set up a dive angle, but Creme walking forward, just clearing out the wave instantly with his E. Should be just fine. Does have his flash available still as well.
Okay, so it's going to be burnt to get out of the Leona ulti, but that means for JinJiao, he set the mid lane attacking, and Herald is going to get Yeji and Shadow, the two people we talked about from LGD, the big focus point. Bit of gold in their back pocket.
And I love that you bring up Shadow and Yeji, right? Because just even looking at this team more holistically, right? We came in talking about, hey, this team's all about proactive mid-jungle. How can they influence the map? That's the way that LGD tend to find certain advantages that hopefully they'd be able to turn into wins. Why are they not doing that this game? Well, this game, they have Jinx Corki. They have the front line coming in from the Ornn. They're going to have the Ornn items later on. I think solidly they should be able to win in those standard 5v5 front-to-back team fights later on. So for LGD, the fact that we're still only 1k gold behind at 12 minutes, I think it is completely fine for them.
Yeah.
As long as they can keep this up going into the mid game, once we do start getting to the 2 item points for both of these carries, they will be pretty solid. Sadly, Eric, especially, still very long off from that point, is about to finish his cull, though. That is pretty pog.
That's a little pog, you're right. And maybe towards this next dragon, we get a first item Eric here on the Jinx to get closer towards matching Abel. And note that Abel's just got the nuke with the pickaxe, so 2 simple components. Forget top, the noodles continue bashing each other. I mean, this is exciting, you gotta admit. The fact with how the meta is at the moment, seeing Viktor versus Corki, I would much rather see Gragas versus Ornn, Sion versus Cho'Gath, Mundo versus Ornn. Like, any of these big beefy dudes going at it feels more exciting.
I'll just always say it. For some, like, tank auto attacks especially are just more visually and audibly pleasing. They just are. Riot maybe did that on purpose, but I think it was a great design choice. And if we did only watch top, it would be great. But Aki right now, hovering around mid lane. Shadow is here. The one difference maker would be the fact that JinJiao has roamed over before Cold. Sadly, though, no action gonna break out just yet. And I think this is a bit of a problem on the side of OMG. We talked about, hey, having the Zed, finding ways to impact the map, especially now that we're still in the early game, right? But starting to transition into the sense of, right, we're already looking at second Herald spawn coming up potentially later on. First Dragon already down. So breaking into that mid game, how can Aki find more advantages? Definitely looks like he wants to punish Yeji. Yeji is super low.
He is. Has to back away. No teleport available, so Creme gets first access to the turret. And guys, as we come to the 14-minute mark, I know you're upset about 3 kills. Maybe it's going to be 4 here with Aki coming in with the Omens. He spotted the Corki, but too late here on the wave. And Aki has to run for the hills. At the very least here, Lyric, what I was going to say is, it's a low-kill game, but I want to come back to the simplicity of it. LGD, you talked about their team fighting, the range advantage they'll have in the late game. Is this one of those games I can finally say, dude, scaling is just so easily obvious, despite OMG having scaling options?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely prefer LGD's comp in the late game. I think it looks way easier to execute. Has an easy time of being able to get onto objectives. You don't have side lane threats to worry about on the opposite side. You don't have a massive amount of engage coming in. Shanji committing with E probably would need flash to close distance, or Cold finding a hook, which is a single target. Shadow!
That was a blast card of many proportions. Yeji has a package as well. And Aki now at half HP right before the dragon spawns. For OMG, they may as well just put up a sign saying, let's make dragon a bit harder.
We're going to see if OMG can find the angle. Shanji coming in on the TP. One of the things we talked about for their side. The special thanks coming out.
Onto Creme as well. Soulflake got him down, and he's not escaping that one. Aki off on the wing, but 3 members of LGD there. Yeji now the next target. Aki will find him with his 3rd kill, but the rest of LGD back for support with Fearness and his ulti. The Ram Jam goes through the middle, and LGD don't care. The next target's going to be Abel as the Bellows Breath, the Searing Charge, all kind of knockups. Send Aphelios for the hills. Able must run with a double kill going to Eric, and LGD hand-given a nice little box of cheese.
LGD might not pick up the dragon, but the fact that they pick up the teamfight win is huge going over their side. Actually, I'm wrong. They did pick up the dragon. OMG got the first dragon. But Yeji found the angle, was able to get on top of Creme. I am sure we're going to get a replay of that just shortly. Package came up. Yeji timing his packages appropriately. Everyone out there is going to be happy. He sees the window here. Creme's laser is down, so a lot of that trading power already missed out on. Creme instantly going down. Yeji does get taken quite low, so Aki is able to find a return kill, but that brings him instantly into the rest of the team. JinJiao procs the stun, so Aki goes down immediately as well. Bam! Instant numbers advantage coming out for the side of LGD, where they are able to finish off this fight. In the bottom left hand of our screen, LGD were posturing for another one, but no, OMG just going to get a free Rift Herald.
Yeah, second Herald comes through. Remember that LGD did get the first one, shared the goal between Shadow and Yeji. First Herald always more valuable because uploading guys. Put that in the back of your brain. Maybe together we can pass goal. I'm speaking about myself. I am now projecting. Lyric 2-0 on the Jinx in the bottom lane. Importantly enough, we're not even at the stage where it feels like LGD should be team fighting better, or at least, you know, have that 5v5 element we talked about in the mid to late game. But already, it does feel like we're bringing a very strong grouped up LGD before the 20-minute mark.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is one of their best chances to pick up a win that we've seen so far in the LPL, at least in terms of games, right? Which LGD have picked up 2 wins so far. They're not sitting winless in terms of game score. Shanji right now, putting a lot of pressure on the side with this flank, though. Okay,
it's a great flank at that. The explosive cast in Shadow in, but the death sentence too early from Cole. Once again, the flash with the soul flare under turret. It's gone horribly wrong. Able set up as well, and LGD don't care. Eric now with the reset getting excited, but hey, it's an Ornn. Fearness will not be block stopped, and OMG get dropped.
The momentum shift continues on with OMG still struggling. Like you said, a little bit too fast on the trigger pull, in my opinion, with that engage. They go in, Herald isn't even dropped yet, instantly going down. Now LGD can turn to these side lanes. Yeji can damage these turrets. Massive resets coming off. Eric right now, 5-0-2 on the Jinx. And apparently we're just going to go straight into the replay. We see OMG find the window. Shadow getting knocked into the team. His ultimate is blown though, so no real damage coming out onto him. Cole just locked in under turret. Jinx traps come out. the gravity comes out. And like we said, Herald wasn't even dropped yet. So for the side of OMG, it's like that was just all being tanked. And at this point in time, Eric, so much space to play with. The resets coming out, they're able to completely turn the fight.
And Lyric, you know when Eric was on OMG, I saw one game of him, and if you guys haven't seen Billy Madison, Adam Sandler movie, there's a part at the start where Eric, the evil guy, you know, Adam Sandler doesn't like him. There's an exclamation of Eric. And in this game, we get to make that exclamation, except Eric's not really evil. He's the savior of this LGD game number 1, but more importantly, the focus. Where for Eric and JinJiao, we talked about them in conjunction with Abel and Cole, how the bottom lane could be an issue into the mid game. This time around, Eric and JinJiao in a great position, but maybe Shadow isn't. He's caught up with the gravity field as well. Aki for the kill, number 4. And the Zed that has been looking pretty shaky, still in a favorable position, getting LGD's jungler out.
OMG with some nice anticipation there as well. They knew that Yeji would be going up to the side lane, potentially to, you know, catch LA, push it out before. Dragon does hit about that 40-45 second window where then he could start roaming down. They knew Shadow would probably be there to escort him. They commit numerous members to find the pick, and they're going to be able to get a turret trade off of this. So when we were hitting on OMG's win conditions earlier, this pick style comp was one of the things we hit on, right? The Thresh plus Zed combo, and that was able to work out to be able to find the fight. Dragon now going to be coming up in 15 seconds, though. LGD are the ones with control with their bot lane, just completely stacking vision towards that side of the map. And look, once again, we got another package.
I'm so glad that we're not giving people like Dom or Casual, I'm not sure if any of them watching today, you know, giving them aneurysms for seeing bad packages in the LPL. Like, it is dangerous co-streaming some of these games. So we are giving ourselves opportunity to see some good setups here from Yeji, a player we talked about heavily in the opening segment. If you missed out, there's a lot about Yeji, who was previously known as Yeah, but with a G. Came into TT, was a replacement for Captain, was there. focus, Lyric, and it does feel like in this game he's been pretty solid despite the 30 CS being down, where he's done what LGD have needed him to do.
I mean, his job has been to pick a package, and he's doing this. So, you know what? Praise to you, brother. For the other members of LGD, though, right? It really has been their bot lane so far that has stood out with what's going on the map right now, right? OMG clearly decided they don't want to fight for Dragon right now.
Yeah.
It's also the Cloud Soul coming up. We know players have tended not to value that one as highly, so looking for the gold trades on the opposite sides of the map, kept split pushing in those side lanes. LGD, though, did finally pick up their first turret of the game, with Fearness able to pick up that bot lane turret. So LGD, behind in turrets, still up in gold, up in dragons, and at a point where any 5v5 they are solidly favored. For OMG, it's still about being clever and continuing to find those picks, right? It isn't going to be down towards that bottom half of the map, considering we do have Fearness also playing close to his turret, so will be quite hard to find kills on the Ornn right now. I think you just try and rinse and repeat the play you just made, right? You're not going to win the mid contest, so just continuously hover towards that top side with both Aki and Cold, and hopefully be able to keep picking off this Corki.
Use that Z with 2 items. And Lyric, I want to talk about items super quick. Like, I'm a play-by-play monkey, so I'm not really allowed to do this, but I'm going to do it anyways. LGD pick up a turret, and it's going to be their second turret of the game, so now 2,000 gold ahead. Before the objectives come up, before the Baron pool comes through, Lyric, I miss Umbral Glaive. SOFM pulled it out as his first item on the Z jungle. And it felt so useful, so valuable, especially when we're going up against a 5v5 team in LGD. Do you feel like I'm warranted to say something like that, or is it just another monkey mind?
I don't necessarily feel like it would make a massive difference, right? We did see Umbral Glaive take a bit of a change, you know, coming into the season. I believe it's gold. Its cost got reduced to like 2,400, 200 less, but the lethality also went down with it. So still an item for a cheap early spike, try to make things happen, clear wards. But with how the early game went, the amount of inaction we saw, especially with the laners that they have, I'm not sure Aki would have been able to do too much with it.
Okay, well, I had to ask anyway, because as someone who loves Umbral Glaive as an item and what it brings in, sometimes I can mold just a little bit. One piece of hair out at a time, but I feel like that's what OMG are molding about this game, or rather, different topic. I'm going to get my words together now. OMG are a team that R2K got behind in this game. They pulled out the Z jungle, and it doesn't feel like they've been able to do too much apart from a couple of picks around. For LGD, they're getting more towards these Ornn items as well. Note that Fearness is level 14, so we are going to have Wormfall and Sacrifice for Eric pretty shortly, which means these team fights are going to be even worse, heading towards that Soul Point Dragon in 2 minutes. A potential Baron if someone else gets picked out.
LGD do not spell out a team to me that's going to have the confidence to try to bait out a Baron or any scenarios like that. My guess is they'll try and keep it decently stock and standard, play on the 5-minute windows to be able to stack up the dragons, and they're going to be solid, right? We're still kind of speculating for OMG what kind of window they are able to find. Yeji going to be pushing top right now, so you do have a bit of pressure bot. You can try and start leaning down there once you answer the spid wave and try and enable Shanji, but LGD don't care. They're just 4-manning down this mid lane. The fact that Yeji is TP up at any time as well just means he can join the fight, and LGD are squarely in favor to do exactly what they want to do.
And now with the Wormfall and Sacrifice, as mentioned before, on Eric too, that confidence just keeps rising to new heights. Also, no, we got a Luden's Temple. Is that the upgrade? Yes. No, Eye of Luden. The Eye of Saruman's been complete on Yeji. The Corki now has a bounty but no kill. Now the turret to go down to Lyric, it is just a slow burn with Shanji responding, but with Kings getting spammed around this Baron and around mid, like, dude, 3 Ornn upgraded items. I think Shadow got his as well, as we just saw on our screen. Ceaseless Hunger going to be given by Fearness once again, so Lyric, 13 kills, 25 minutes. I'm sorry that you've kind of been scammed a little out of your bloody OMG game. Like, you wanted to see 1 kill per minute, and OMG, for the first time in a while, haven't really delivered.
You know what was great? I can't remember which split it was. I believe it was sometime in 2020, where TS had like 1.4 or something. It was the highest I've ever seen, where it's like, man, you're inching up towards 2 kills a minute in all their games consistently, right? That's an average across however many games we have in the LPL. Feels like way too many, or not enough, I guess, depending on the person. But For OMG right now, they are going to try and find some action, trying to bait out a Baron scenario.
Okay.
It seems like they want to find a turn. They want to put LGD in an uncomfortable position.
But Aki's tanked it up just a little bit. He's going to have to pick up the lettuce from Coles on his way out. See if OMG can find anything, but LGD are not buying it. Control ward in the back of the pit as OMG scatter theirs throughout. That is a lot of blue wards just lying through. LGD got their work cut out for them. It's about the time you spend, Lyric, to get rid of those.
I don't think they're going to spend any time. OMG going to just once again go back to the Baron. They actually burn it down surprisingly quick.
Yeah.
The members of LGD committed to mid-wave. OMG have a ton of AoE damage and lockdown coming
It's
out.
gone. Aki's got a shadow into the pit. He can't get the steal. The Ram Jam goes through as into the back line is JinJiao. Now they'll get one on top of Creme. Actually, Cold goes down too, but Eric almost a trade. Abel has so many shurikens. Timing a little bit off here. Abel goes to his death. He could feel 200 years, but he acted like 100.
You know, honestly, OMG pick up Baron. You hit on the fact that this game was a slow burn and they were kind of just slowly bleeding out. Sure, gold was staying even. We've already hit on the longer this game goes. It definitely feels like LGD just should have an easy time stacking up these dragons, picking up things like the Baron and Elder Drakes. So OMG getting Baron on 2 members, okay, solid. LGD's gold lead definitely ballooning up even more. And now it's like, hey, you have 2 Barons. Can they effectively use it when we've seen that they aren't able to push waves?
Look at this. It's secured by Shanji on the Corki. Nice bit of burst damage as Shanji comes in. But Eric and this Corki are having fun at the back of the pit. Shadow's stuck there by himself. Cameraman, forget that. Look, Shadow's getting beaten up. He's a Shadow fan. He loved Mad Lions. And the Observer doesn't want to show us the carnage.
Nope. The Observer wants no part of that. Is OMG finally are going to have a bit of a window to use, right? I was just wondering, when are they going to get a chance to use these 2 Barons? Because they've consistently shown they don't really push in any lanes. When they group up, they aren't able to siege either. Now that they found a pick, they can escort this wave in mid, use this Baron buff, and try and find a bit of a gold injection from this mid tier 2 turret.
Salty comes out, lines up, and Aki gets caught in the wind, but the Fearness still front-lining while Yeji gets poked out. The Chaos Storm now down the gravity field as well. But this Ornn having a great time. Taking a bit of poke damage himself, but nothing seems to affect him. While for LGD, they hold strong with their tier 3 turret right in this mid lane. OMG get a tier 2 Lyric. Baron has done something, but it's only the tune to 500 gold with a minute left remaining on the buff.
And it's all thanks to finding that pick on a Shadow and Dragon, right? LGD were able to secure it though, so ultimately you just traded about, you know, 1,000 gold between everything you got on the map for a Dragon. The fact that that is Soul Point Dragon for LGD, I still think does feel fine. We're going to get a replay of the Baron, though. Yeji having to burn the package to just be able to get in range. The other members aren't here because they did commit to the mid-wave. Everyone on OMG's side as well. We've already hit on how LGD should be able to win fights. JinJiao starting off by locking down. And Abel trying to find the kill here. Nice stopwatch coming out from Eric. Abel's like, I'm dead anyway. I need to try and find a kill in return. Goes in with the flash, isn't able to get it up, and just ends up going down.
I love the commitment there, you know. As you said, Lyric, you're dead anyway. Let's go for it. And as Abel comes back, and rather we've seen a couple of plays since then. Just note that gold lead's still even enough at this point in the game. We're getting towards 30 minutes with 17 kills, but it's LGD, even after OMG got the Baron, that still hold the lead. It's LGD who are 2,000 gold up, who has a Jinx with 4.5 items. Lyric, it still feels like LGD hold control in this game, despite OMG getting a inkling of faith.
Oh, 100%. And I'm curious to see some of the items coming out, especially stopwatches and Zanya's, right? Because those will completely take Aki out of the game. And you look across the board, the 2 key members do have them. Yeji sitting on a stopwatch, Eric sitting on the Guardian Angel as well. So gonna make Aki's job quite a bit harder. And the other 3 members are just so tanky, right? Aki not gonna be doing a tremendous amount of damage to them anyway. On the opposite side though, Summoners up pretty much across the board other than on Abel. I don't think it makes too much of a difference for the side of LGD though, considering you are just happy hitting at the front line of OMG. You don't necessarily need to get onto Abel and Creme right away to be able to win fights, as compared to vice versa, where Aki does need to be looking for that angle, looking to pop Yeji, have the 5v4, and win through that way.
I want to see if LGD get their dream fight and can end this game number 1. LGD 0-4 in the standings. We're telling you a bit before. This team's won 2 individual games, but no series. This will be a great start, as this could be the last fight. The flash away by Creme. Fearness sends out the Ram Jam again, and Shadow is right on the backside on top of Shanji. Now for OMG, they're onto Eric. He's left alone. GA's going to be popped, but members still stay standing. JinJiao and Fearness on the discovery train to help out their AD carry. They're discovering that Fearness ain't as tanky as you thought, but hang on. Aphelios in the back line has taken away the GA-less Jinx. Abel can bring this one back. Look at the shurikens from Ninja Gaiden. Thanks for the shutdown. Triple kill goes over. Fearness in the mid lane, and Abel's on the chase. He wants the quadra. OMG had no business, after what we said, Lyric, winning that fight, but somehow, someway, the Z Jungle found a way to bring OMG back into contention.
OMG found and created a fight on 2 fronts. We've been hitting this whole time, right? LGD want you standing right in front of their composition. 5 members staring at 5 members. You hitting at their front line, them hitting at your front line. They will have more DPS, they'll have more range, more poke. All of those things at the end of the day. But Aki was able to get done. We're going to go straight into the replay. LGD, they go in as a unit, but then you look at the members of OMG collapsing from 2 sides. It's going to pull LGD's focus apart, which I feel like is the most crucial thing. Aki gets onto Eric right away, which blows the GA, so this also not going to be up next fight. Shadow dealing with 2 members on the opposite side. Yeji being zoned away by Creme as well, even if he did go down. And this is where Abel is allowed to start popping off with those key carries taken out of the fight. So sure, like, the damage coming out from Abel in the end is cool, but I think especially Creme and then Aki pulling different members of LGD apart is what opened up that fight for OMG to win.
Well, for OMG, guys, they do have the gold lead in this game, but that was one fight. As Cold gets his 4,000th assist in the LPL. 6th in the league, by the way. This guy's been here for a while, and we'll talk about it throughout the series. As our stream is absolutely delayed, guys. I apologize for that. Soul goes over to OMG as we fly back, LGD on the other side. Aki goes in once again. He had a great set off before. He's on top of Eric, though, but this time he's low, and the poke finally works out. Fearness, the fridge that is absolutely not a magnet. Abel going to dodge away from this one. He's the last hope of OMG. And as he goes down into GA, the whole of LGD will be standing over him, but it'll be simply a grave. With the soul down, with the fight done, LGD bring us all the way back.
Yep, and LGD now just gonna be able to barrel down the mid lane and look for the win. They got what they wanted that time. You standing right in front of them, able to just out DPS you in these fights. Eric especially having a solid game. Yeji finally popping off. And nice to see LGD coming in and making a strong statement. And Hysterics, I can already tell you, we're in for 6 games.
We're in for 6 games tonight. You got 9 the other night, and you got absolutely tilted with your 9-hour broadcast. Or 8 hours, excuse me. As we round this one out, let's just say one thing. LGD had to fight pretty hard for that win. I think we've got to give credit to OMG just super quick. The fact that that game was set up as it was and everything was smooth for LGD. I think Aki had that 1Z ulti that you can kind of line up to one of Showmaker's ultis on the Orianna. A game where you're like, man, Aki didn't do too much. Let's be real, he didn't do too much. But we got to that one moment and he brought the game back to an even point when it had no business being even.
I mean, I feel like Aki had a solid enough early game, right? Found some kills. The top lane tri-brush play where they were able to find picks was very clever. We saw them moving as a unit, even waiting on the Raptors. Like, they had a lot of good ideas. I actually don't think Aki was necessarily the reason OMG lost. I mean, we came out of draft really looking at OMG's comp like, again, I don't feel like there's a whole lot of synergy between some of these champions.
Sure.
And again, it might just be me, but I will just keep saying it until it stops happening of, at least in the LPL, not following other regions all too closely, but just these 3 champions together, the Jinx, Corki, JinJiao combo just seems like, I mean, it got TT a win. It got TT. Does that not say enough?
It does. And you call me rude for calling out Aki. But you're right. Like, these are strong picks. And to clarify on Aki as well, you're right. It's more so about the pick than the player, because I feel like that last pick, the almost game-winning play for OMG, was so nice to watch. Abel felt like he was coming back, but Yeji and Eric got free space once again. And apologies, ladies and gentlemen. I know we're a bit delayed on that last one. Unfortunately, our feed had a couple of bugs rounding out that game number 1, and we'll look into that and make sure it tries not to happen once again. But we got the soul before it was done, and LGD just took the fight from there. I want to give a special mention to Fearness, Lyric. I think Fearness had a really good game on the Ornn and, you know, played his role, which is what you hope a frontliner does after being in a wet noodle fight all game.
I mean, LGD picked a comp that, like, you know, they lost lane. They were probably going to lose lane regardless, but these champions can lose lane because they're going to have higher impact in team fights, in big situations, right? We saw Yeji getting a lot of value out of his package. Even when he wasn't finding big package, like, usage, it was zoning off the members of OMG and creating space. So, just across the board, LGD committing to their roles.
Well, for LGD, I mean, simple comp. They got away with 3 pretty OP picks. I hope game 2 is even better, and we see OMG with a resurgence here, because Lyric says all 6 games tonight. Find out if OMG give away such potent